Bobby Valentine, former manager, and he joins us now. Dan Patrick Show. Do you watch last night, Bobby?
Dan, absolutely.
And who were you rooting for?
I was rooting for the good guys, and they won.
The difference with this team this year opposed to last year, can you pinpoint it?
Oh, yeah, about 13 guys, a lot of beards, and some real quality bullpen and clutch hitting.
But if you're looking at the chemistry part of this, I know that we use that word freely, but was there something that was missing the previous year that was there this year? And how do you know when you have something like that?
Well, I'm not sure. Winning usually brings the best out of people, and sometimes, losing brings the worst out. So last year we weren't winning very much, and it didn't look very good. There's no doubt about that, and that's why so many changes were made. When you get the amazing thing to me about you when you talk about chemistry or guys working together or looking like they're having fun is that when you bring in so many new guys, and I guess there might be as many as 15 of them at the beginning of the season, you'd think that you'd have some problems with them all working together. But the guys who are left there understood it was no fun doing it, on different pages. And I think that Dustin and David and John and Clay, who were really for the holdovers, brought those guys under their wings, and they all came together.
Tough to watch in any way, knowing that that was part of your team and maybe that, that you should still be there?
Well, whatever. Not tough. I mean, it's another day, Dan. When you do it for 43 years, you watch it and you learn that if you ever root against anyone, you waste a lot of your time and energy. And if you pick out the people who have been good to you and that you like and you root for them, it's a lot easier way to go to sleep and wake up in the morning.
He's Bobby Valentine joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Do you feel like you'll get some people pointing fingers at you, that this is what was wrong with that team the previous year, and maybe not realizing, John Farrell did a great job? I mean, there's other mitigating circumstances, but do you think you're going to get unfair blame here?
I don't blame or credit. I don't care how that whole thing goes. I think I've had enough of fingers pointed at me, and I don't think people are going to waste their time with that right now. It's a good story out there right now, and I think they'll keep talking about it.
But I think the quote was that you would have had similar success with this team. Is that a fair assessment of the quote attached to you?
Yeah. After I read it, that's a fair assessment. It's like if I asked you, Dan, that Bob Costas just interviewed Muhammad Ali, and after the interview I said, hey, Dan, you think you could have done as good a job? I think you probably would say, yeah, I think I could have had a pretty good interview with Muhammad Ali.
Well, but if I was scheduled to do it or did the first one and then he did it after me, then I might feel differently.
Totally different thing. He said those are different teams, right? The question was, with this team, do you think he could have done it? Not if I could have done this with last year's team. There's no way I could have done this with last year's team. No way.
Why?
Because we weren't very good.
Well,
last year when the season ended, Pedro Siriaco was my cleanup hitter.
What now?
Last year when the season ended, Pedro Siriaco was my cleanup hitter.
Yeah.
You think that was the type of team that you watched last night on television?
Would you have walked Ortiz?
No. You see what happens when you walk him, you lose 6-1. All it does is turns the lineup over one more time. I think you walk a guy when you think it's his last at-bat and you have to get through that game. You start walking guys early in the game, and you're telling your pitcher that they're not good enough to get him out, and B, you're letting that lineup turn over again and letting the other guys think that you're not a very good pitcher.
Buck Showalter said he would have walked Ortiz because you get to that certain zone we see that Barry Bonds was in back in 2002. So there's not a situation where you say, all right, I'll walk Big Papi?
Oh, yeah, there are situations, but not walk them every time. I mean, it's ridiculous some of the things I heard, every time you're going to walk them. He just came off a series where he got 2 hits, Figure out how they pitched them and try to pitch them the same way. If he's selective enough to take tough pitches, you might walk them. But to just say, hey, we can't compete with this guy, I think is ridiculous.
Well, I wouldn't walk him every
these are
time.
the best guys in the major leagues that are out there on the mound, and they should feel they could get Babe Ruth out.
Yeah, but Bobby, I was only going to walk him with a base open. So you had a runner at second. I put him on first. I'm going to set up a force out at third and second and first, maybe turn two.
Hey, I'm with you.
Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah, with a base open, I mean, that's just baseball. Absolutely.
Is Ortiz a Hall of Famer?
Well, if you take the best player at every position and you want to have that person represented in the Hall of Fame, I think he's the best DH that I've ever seen. Edgar Martinez is a close second.
So you put him in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
He doesn't have enough great regular seasons, though. I mean, how much should postseason count for Hall of Fame in baseball?
Well, probably not as much as people wanted to, but, he's still the best. Not great season, but he's the best at his position. And this position's been around for 40 years now. So, I think you can recognize the position as something that should be represented amongst the other positions that are recognized, or you take it away and don't make it a position.
Are you done managing?
I don't know. You have a job to offer?
No, not yet. Not right now. Do you expect a phone call?
When you do, you call and we'll figure out if I'm going to move forward or not.
Well, we have a softball team. We could use a manager.
I like that a lot, and I have 31 teams up at Sacred Heart University that they're all Division I, and none of them think that I could coach them. So, we'll figure out if the softball where I should be.
Bobby, good to visit with you. And
my pleasure, Dan.
All right, Bobby Valentine, former manager.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.